Stay classy, Josh McDaniels. Stay classy. Wow. That escalated quickly. For weeks, we've operated under the assumption that Josh McDaniels had officially accepted the offer to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Like, this was one of these foregone conclusions, similar to Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions. It hasn't happened yet, but it's happened, and we're just waiting for the Super Bowl to be over for it to be officially announced. And everybody's operating under that assumption. And you know what? If you're somebody like Josh McDaniels, it made sense. You went out there when you weren't really ready, went to Denver in a couple of years, and you fell flat on your face. You kind of come back home under Bill. You get back into that Patriot way with your tail kind of tucked between your legs a little bit. You put in some work, and now you've built yourself back up to a point in time where you're a valuable commodity on the market, and people want you to be their head coach again. And you're still young enough where if you get off on the right foot, you could be that dude somewhere for a long, long time to come. So there is definitely appeal there with a Josh McDaniels. Just because the first go-round didn't work out doesn't mean he couldn't be a great success the second time. Perfect example of that, see Bill Belichick. But we get into Tuesday, and you've got the Colts sitting there and making the announcement about Josh McDaniels' introductory press conference and talking about how he's going to be their next head coach. And lo and behold, the sweet irony of all of this, Josh McDaniels pulls a Bill Belichick in a way. Just as they're about to announce him and introduce him as a press conference as the next head football coach of the Indianapolis Colts, I don't know if McDaniels got word on Andrew Luck's condition and got scared. I don't know if he had a change of heart to work with Chris Ballard, or most likely he got a promise that Belichick's last year in New England might be 2018, and he's the heir apparent now that they suckered Matt Patricia into leaving, so they avoid all of that. They've got a clear hierarchy of the next man up in New England. Josh McDaniels has decided not to accept the Indianapolis Colts head coaching job, and instead will return as the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Stay classy, Josh McDaniels. Stay classy. You had all this time to figure this out. You had all this time to sit there and make up your mind. You had all this time where you could have let that organization know, as they thought they had you locked up. They thought they had you in a deal. As you sat there and allowed all these other people that you were going to be bringing in as assistants to think that they were going to have a job, that everything was squared away, that everything was all set up, to sit there and basically punk out at the 11th hour and 59th minute is horse shit. Let's call it as we see it. It's complete crap. It is garbage because Josh McDaniels is garbage. At this point in time, I don't see why anybody would ever want to extend him an offer to be their head coach other than the New England Patriots. Now, not only do you have the history of the flop that was his Denver time, now he sits there and he's let the Indianapolis Colts be out on a lurch for weeks. He sat there and set the Indianapolis Colts up. He made them believe that this is what it's going to be. He impacted potentially the ability of other guys to find jobs throughout the league or college football or whatever by promising them and setting them up and saying, this is where we're going to go, this is where we're going to be, just to pull out at the 11th hour and 59th minute. At this point in time, I'm sure a lot of Colts fans are upset about this. You have every right to be upset about it. If Chris Ballard, Jim Irsay came out on social media and blasted Josh McDaniels for this, I would support them 100% because he made you look to be a fool. Knowing damn good and well he had agreed to become the head coach, knowing damn good and well, probably for a while now, he wasn't going to take it. He didn't give a shit. He didn't care. He didn't respect you enough to sit there and give you the respect to let you know that, hey, I'm not sure. You might want to get something else ready. You may want to have something else in mind. And clearly he didn't. If the Colts were talking about earlier today on their social media outlets that they were about to have an introductory press conference with Josh McDaniels to be their next head coach. This is chicken shit. This is cowardly. This is not how a man acts. This is how a Josh McDaniels acts. And honestly, from a Colts standpoint, If this is how he was going to act, it should just be an indication of how his run was going to be as the head coach anyways. And frankly, when you talk about the Bill Belichick coaching tree, why the hell would you want to sit there and eat off of the fruit of any of those low-hanging branches? Why? Because so many of those Belichick disciples get their own gigs and they're fired within 3 years. They don't work out. Bill Belichick is about winning world titles. He's not about also developing other young leaders and future head coaches. That's not his game. He don't give a shit. And that's fine. He doesn't have to. But it does not for the life of me make any sense why these other organizations throughout the league continue to want to dip into this coaching tree that has produced a lot of rotten fruit. And Josh McDaniels clearly is the most rotten of rotten fruit. I mean, stay classy, Josh McDaniels. You just let the Colts out to burn. And Colts fans, Colts organization, be glad he's not there. Because if this is how he's going to act now, and he didn't even officially have the job, why the hell would you want any part of him? You still have the opportunity, even though you missed out on other people. You could still, if you look right, you could still find the right guy. You could still bring in somebody that could perform, do that job most certainly better than Chuck Pagano and very likely better than Josh McDaniels any damn ways. You didn't want him. You didn't need him. And most importantly of all, you should be glad that you don't have him. Because clearly all it took was some type of back deal promise or something to Josh McDaniels saying, now that Matt Patricia's gone, we fooled his ass, let's let Detroit fire him in a couple of years. You're next man up. We've avoided that conflict and confrontation. You're going to be the dude whenever Bill steps aside. Clearly, that's got to be what happened here. Just like somebody in the Belichick coaching tree to be classy. Unbelievable. Just simply unbelievable. How about some professionalism? How about some decency? How about some respect for another organization that really, really fucked themselves by believing in you? What a cowardly punk-ass move. Stay classy, Josh McDaniels, you piece of crap.